Welcome back. It's the Crowley Cast. All right, thank you all to our listeners and viewers for being here with us. Thank you to my co-hosts Dirk Hotshot Walker, Travis Fire and Ice Hawthorne. Thank you to Matt Montoya for the music on this video. IG, you can find him King Elite 928. You can find him on his website, Matthew Montoya 928.wixsite.com or bentleyrecords.ink.to/King Elite #the turnup. All right. Make sure you check us out on our podcast, which is on Anchor, Breaker, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Check out our live streams on Twitch, Crowley Cast. Check out our socials. We're on Twitter at Cast Crowley and on IG, Crowley_Cast. And also, this is our very first YouTube channel video, Crowley Cast. Today we'll be doing our very first Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft. It will be the Mock Draft 1.0. Without further ado, let's get after it. It's Rookie Mock Draft for the Crowley Cast 1.0. We're going to go through 4 rounds. We are going to select here on the panel, all 3 of us. I'm here with Travis Hawthorne. I'm here with Dirk Walker. I am Andre Simmons. We are going to be going through 4 rounds, a rookie draft, mock draft. It will be our first one. This is also our very first, our very first video that we will be putting up on our new YouTube channel. So stick around with us, see what you think of our picks. We will be taking 4 teams in a 12-team league. There is no team that we're using as a basis, so there's no need for any player. We're just going to be picking our favorite players, value players, but they will all be rookies. This is a rookie draft, so this is for a super flex league. This is for a dynasty style league, but there is no need on any of the teams we're picking. So all 3 of us will be picking 4 teams. I think we have Dirk going as the number 1 team, Travis taking the number 2 team, I'll be taking the number 3 team, and we'll be rotating out from there through 12 picks. Are we in the snake style, Travis?
No, we're going to go linear because that's what most of after your first initial startup drafts, then usually you're going linear. So it'll be 1-1 and then wrap around, and then you start back at the beginning again, 2-1. So
Awesome. So make sure you check us out on Anchor. We are on Anchor, the Crowley Cast. If you're watching this, we will get started right here. I will step away for a second to get our draft board set up for you to watch. Dirk is on the clock as the first pick. As I said, we will go 1 pick each, and then so Dirk will be the 1-1. He will end up being the 1-4, the 1-7, and the 1-10, I believe. And then the rest of us will go accordingly every 4 picks. So let's get it started, Dirk.
In the super flex position, unless you're just loaded at QB, I think the pretty unanimous first pick in most of them is going to be Trevor Lawrence. So that's what I'm going to take here with the 1-1.
Yep, no surprise there. Just like Jacksonville. So, all right. So second pick. I know that the general consensus is that Zach Wilson will probably be the second quarterback taken by the Jets, or second pick overall. However, I don't think he'll be the second best quarterback for fantasy. And in a super flex, I do think that the quarterback is where you get a ton of value. So because of that, my bet for the second most valuable quarterback is going to be Justin Fields. So I'm going to go that direction to the Ohio State quarterback.
See, going early, I see the kind of the draw to go to the quarterback position. If you're not getting who you think is the second best quarterback or the best quarterback, which is to some is Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, and to others it could be Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson or Trey Lance. I think Trevor Lawrence is definitely number 1. From there, I think it's kind of a decision on who do you have at number 2. So if you had Justin Fields at number 2, I'm going to say I had Justin Fields as my number 2 quarterback, and I'm not going to get him here. I'm going to go ahead and go a running back. This pick for me is going to be who I think a lot of people see as the number 1 running back. I think it's kind of split maybe between ETN and Najee Harris, but I'm going to go Najee Harris.
I would say pretty chalk so far for a lot of it, I believe. Dirk, you're back up, number 4.
Tricky little spot here. Again, it's kind of based on your needs. Look at your roster, look at your depth at each position. But as Travis kind of stated earlier, I think if you can get Zach Wilson here in the 4th spot, you're looking awfully good here. I expect Najee Harris to possibly fall there with a quarterback start, but you can't complain with either one of those two at the 4th spot. So Zach Wilson here.
Yeah, and you're guaranteed Zach Wilson's walking in day 1 as the starter. So I mean, you can't complain about that. He's gonna put up some points. You know, who knows how good he'll be, but he's definitely gonna be a pretty safe bet to be the starter. So. All right.
I mean, the way he can run the ball too, that's a little hidden fantasy value you could possibly have with a couple rushing touchdowns in there too.
Yeah.
In the upcoming year.
All right, so number 5 pick for me. 3 quarterbacks gone, 1 running back gone. I'm actually, depending on what your settings are, if you're a tight end premium, I think Kyle Pitts is not crazy to go here. I don't really want to take that risk on Kyle. It's not even a risk, I guess. Like he's going to be good. The question is he going to be good immediately, which is such a rare thing for tight ends coming into the league. Because of that, you know, his value's more likely to drop down a little bit before it starts to rise again to me. It's tough.
And that's a good point with your tight end spot. I mean, think of the hype on some of the tight ends that have been coming into the league.
Yeah.
Fant, Hawkinson, O.J. Howard. I mean, none of them in that first year really pan out. But, yeah, Pitts is supposed to be a breed of his own. So
I'm probably going to stick with the running back and just the fact that running backs, when they hit, are always going to have value. And so I will go ahead and take the 2nd rated running back, ETN, here. So stick with the namesake, you know, Travis for Travis.
All right. Well,
Travis picked number 2. Who I don't know who picked number 5.
I did.
I'm looking here, and honestly, I'm thinking running back is a good spot here. If I'm the team going here, I'm probably looking at running back. I'm just kind of looking at also at what your pick would be based off of, again, if this is dynasty and you're picking at this spot, what was it that you would have been needing on a roster that would put you right in the middle of the league? Superflex, it could be very well a lot of positions because you maybe you didn't value the quarterback as much and you ended up with a couple of subpar ones. Maybe your receivers weren't consistent. But I'm going to say, for the most part, in my opinion, I think a lot of these middle tier teams would be teams that didn't have depth at the running back position, which would mean they're probably looking to bolster that. And for myself, I'm looking at the running backs here, and off the top of my head, the first 2 that I would think of I would be taking here would be Sermon and Hubbard. However, ADP wise, I don't think this is a spot unless that's really who you want. This is a spot you would go. Javonte Williams is at the very top of this. He's got the highest ADP. And obviously, without knowing who they're being drafted by yet, we don't know the situation. I'm going to go with the highest ADP one. I'm going to take Williams. I'm going to go running back here again if I'm a middle of the draft, middle of the pack team here at number 6. So I went Javonte Williams.
That's for the most part, it seems that the majority rank the top 3 running backs and kind of have a fairly large tier separation between anybody else. So, yeah, I think those other guys you would definitely get later is my bet. All right, back up to you, Dirk.
Again, you're looking at an interesting spot here. So many options you can go here. You still got Trey Lance and Mac Jones out there at the quarterback. You've got the wide receivers. No one's even taken a receiver yet. There's some studs out there. And then you go the tight end route. The hype on Pitts, I think if you can get him at 7, I think this is a great spot, but it's hard to go against Chase either. But 1-7 here, tight end premium again. And that's what's kind of based on. If it's tight end premium, you might want to lean towards Pitts here. If not, you might want to go to Mark Chase, but I'm going to lean towards Pitts here at 1-7.
Yeah, and I think it's a good pick, honestly. Like, I almost look at Kyle Pitts as a receiver that you get to put into your tight end spot, which
exactly.
That seems pretty valuable to me. So, all right. Well, since you went with Pitts, top 3 running backs are all gone. My only choice right here is going to be pretty simple, and I'm going to take Jamar Chase. So I'll take that top receiver. I think he's pretty consensus locked in as most people's number 1. And there is something about whatever it is, the water down there in LSU, because LSU has been
turning out
receivers for a while. So I'm going to bank on that.
I'm going to take, if I'm sitting here in the 9th slot, again, I think there's a lot of different places you could be going, depending on your roster. First receiver just went off the board, so I feel like in a linear league, a linear draft for the rookie draft, you really have to make a decision here of the position you want and the position you need. And for me, I'm going to say want would be receiver here. Want would be receiver basically from 9 to 12 for me. Need, I'm looking back at the quarterback position, and I'm looking at possibly teams down here that don't have a second quarterback or a quarterback that they can use going forward, and we're probably going to be looking to fill that position. I'm going to say at 9, my pick is going to be Trey Lance.
Yeah, I like that. I love his upside is really spectacular, and he's a guy that I would love to take a shot on in a few drafts. I mean, it might be a little risky, but if he hits, could be big,
with
big
the
time.
Rushing baseline for him, and you look at the physical attributes of the guy. If you watch his pro day, it was a fun day to watch. And then people underestimate his arm strength. The guy can put balls where they need to be. He's obviously out of North Dakota State, not seen by a lot of people. So if you watch enough football college-wise and you know of him, you've seen these things at the college level. You've seen those attributes. So I think at 9, I even in a rookie draft, I think that's a pretty solid slot for him when you're talking fantasy-wise. Because it's possible he may not step into a situation he's playing right away. So if you're a team that needs that right away, but you're looking dynasty, it might be a year down the road. But he also may be in a situation, depending on where he does get drafted, that he may be the guy day 1.
And if you're one of the teams in the back 3 or 4 picks, you might be a fairly, a team with some depth that could afford to take a shot on that. So, all right.
And again, I mean, the only concern people why they kind of knock him is he played in the FCS. He didn't get the same competition week in and week out. But like Andre said, pro day, just a complete stud. Successful wherever he's been, and I think that'll continue in the NFL.
And now, so as we've had 4 quarterbacks come off, we're at pick 10, and I noticed that none of us took a chance on Mac Jones yet. So I'm wondering is either we don't believe that he's going to go number 3 to San Francisco, which has kind of been what everybody's talking about, or none of us believe that he's going to be one of the top 4 fantasy quarterbacks. So I don't know, maybe Dirk will change that up right here, but am I on the spot with that analysis, or you guys differ?
I'm not necessarily down on him. It just kind of the players that have fell in the spots that I've been drafting.
But if the spot is San Francisco at number 3, like that seems like a pretty good spot for a quarterback with a good offense.
Yeah,
good weapons.
You're hearing they're not giving up on Jimmy G yet. You're hearing they're going to take Mac Jones to start him right away. There's still a few rumors out there about Trey Lance. But
I think the number one thing to go on with this is never trust a Shanahan.
Yeah.
All right, so Dirk, 10th pick, what you got?
Well, again, Mac Jones is a strong consideration here, but This deep, I think I'm going to go with the next receiver off the board and Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle. You got it. All right. And do I make it back-to-back Alabama receivers? I
Going to be back-to-back Alabama something.
Yeah, it probably you're probably right. I think I am gonna go with Devontae Smith. He was so productive. I don't love his size at all, but anybody that can do what he did against the highest competition that he did in the SEC, I guess I got to give him a shot and hope he's that Marvin Harrison breed that can stick around in the NFL and not get pummeled. So I'll go with Devontae.
Devontae, this is the thing. If you're picking in these spots in a rookie draft of a dynasty league, the comps that these top receivers have been getting this. Okay, we're here in Arizona, so if you listen to the Arizona radio stations throughout the day, throughout the week, the comps that they've been giving all these top receivers in this draft have been ridiculous. Steve Smith, Andre Johnson, Marvin Harrison, like these are Hall of Fame receivers. These guys are getting comps to. These aren't just your receiver that was great one year and then never panned out, or was great for a few years and then was gone off the map, or was just okay for a long run and was in the NFL for a long time as a secondary or tertiary receiver. These guys are getting big time comps, and I think if you're somebody picking down here, so this means you probably won your league or were in the championship or very close to that. You're picking at a great spot where if you can get a receiver like that to add to your roster, and with these kinds of comps, you're expecting them to produce fairly quickly, if not in year one. I think I would really love to be in this spot at number 12. It's a tough spot here at 12, though, with Waddle, Smith, and Chase all off the board at receiver, with Pitts off at tight end. Pitts was kind of one I thought might slip and might slide in a fantasy draft down to here at night 11, 12, and you might be able to get him at this spot. But I think you're looking, to me, if you're not looking running back, and you're not sold on Mac Jones, you're looking receiver again here. You're going to get 3 receivers off the board to finish this mock. The question is, which one is it? I love every receiver on the board here. They're all you got Rondell Moore, Rashad Bateman, Terrence Marshall, Tony. I like all those guys to go in this spot, especially if they get the right situation. For me, I'm gonna go with the one. I'm gonna go with the one I like the most, the one I'm targeting the most. I'm gonna go with Rashad Bateman. I love the physical talent. I'm a Michigan fan. I watched him play, and I've seen the things he can do to what are supposed to be really good secondaries, what were supposed to be really good football teams in the Big Ten. So Rashad Bateman, to me, is the kind of player that has all the physical tools, understands the game the right way, makes plays, contested. I think if you get him here, there's no risk, and there's a ton of reward for a receiver his size. So I'm going to take Rashad Bateman.
Yeah, and actually his size was a little bit disappointed when they measured him, because he was supposedly 6'2", and then he got measured at 6 foot. And I mean, I don't know. There's usually not a lot of 22-year-olds that are shrinking 2 inches.
This is going to be an odd year, because I feel like for a guy like him, when you talk the live draft, the real draft, how much are these teams going to trust people that aren't their scouts when there's no combine, there's no personal meetings? Everything that gets sent out is through other channels, unless you had a scout that was there for those so how much of that is going to go into their draft capital and where they end up going and what situation they end up in? That's going to be tough to tell. But yes, being measured has definitely hurt people's draft status before. I don't see it in this kid. I think this kid is worth ADP wise, he may drop a little bit farther than this, but I think if this is the kid you want, and that's what I went with here, is the kid. If I was picking 12th, that was the kid I wanted out of this group. I like them all. That's the one I wanted the most, so I like him going. I
don't think it's much of a reach at all. I'm pretty sure. I have to believe he's going to be right in this range, maybe down a pick or two, but I think it's just about right. So, all right. So we go to the top of the second round. Dirk, you are on the clock.
Yeah, and again, we got
4
few options
quarterbacks,
here.
3 running backs came
Yeah.
off, 4 receivers came off, and a single tight end in that first round.
So in the first spot, um, I went quarterback
Yeah.
with Trevor Lawrence. No surprise here. I think the second round, got a couple options here with receivers and running backs. I like Terrace Marshall with his size. I know there's been some reports of injury history coming out, but I'm going to go to the running back position. No, I'm not going to the running back position. Where did I go here? All right.
We don't know where you're going, so you got to tell us.
No, I thought he was taken, but he's not. I'm going to go Kenneth Gainwell here with the running back position. He's highly touted. A lot of people have him top 4, top 5 running back of the class. So.
Yeah. From mostly what I've seen is he's kind of the number 4 back, a slight tier between the top 3 and whoever comes after him. He's kind of on a little bit separate level. So, and once again, Memphis has been producing some running backs as of late. So,
they can really catch the ball too. So.
Yeah. I think it's a good pick. All right, so I'm at 2-2. I had taken Justin Fields with the first pick. I don't think there's any running backs right now that I would feel comfortable going for. I could double down on quarterback and take Mac Jones, and there's a chance that, hey, even if one of them fails, as long as one of them hits, I'll still be fairly happy. Or I could look at receivers. I'm not looking at tight ends right here. And I think there are some pretty good options at receiver still. I think I'm going to go with the Terrace Marshall out of LSU.
Really, really, really like that pick.
Yeah.
I really wish he was a guy that would have fallen one more spot if I'm the team picking at 3 in the second round. I think really because I just like his size. There's not
a lot of big receivers this year. There's a lot of slot guys, and there are not a lot of big guys. So
there's not that guy that just stands out as far as, like I'm 6'5" and I still run fast enough.
There's no DK Metcalf.
Exactly.
That's what you're looking for.
I mean, I'm
sure everybody's looking for him.
DK's baby Megatron. That's what I'm looking for. But
there's only just the one.
When you look at the receivers, like the league is moving more towards speed, the size as far as gargantuan going to 6'4", 6'5", and still being able to run the 4.5 isn't as big a deal unless you're looking at like your Kyle Pittses, those receiver tight end hybrid kind of thing, which is I think what makes him so dangerous. But it would be if you're getting Terrace Marshall and you were picking at 1-2 and then 2-2 and you got Justin Fields, I think you feel pretty good right now about what you called. But going into number 3, if I'm the team picking at number 3, I'm kind of like, man, I really wish he would have fallen. But I'm not upset because if I'm picking at 3, I still think I'm a top tier team in this league. I just need to bolster multiple things, probably a couple of different things, but bolster them, not really rehaul them. And I'm looking at my choices here at receiver, and I'm probably going to go to receiver as well here. I'm looking at the top one is Rondale Moore. I like Tony here too, but I think if you're talking ADP wise, I'm going to go with the player that's got the most the explosive ability. Again, like you said, you got a lot of slot guys. You got those kind of guys. I think Rondale Moore is the kind of guy that will be picked on day one, can go right into somebody's slot receiver position, and that's the kind of team that's going to take him. So his situation should be good, and he's going to be able to produce right away, and he's explosive enough in space, especially that he's also that good of a receiver. You're not just picking a gadget guy. You're picking an actual legit receiver that's got game-breaking ability when he's in space, and he's probably going to get picked into a situation that fits him really well. So,
yeah, he's that pound for pound kind of guy, like pretty freaky athlete. So, all right, Walker, you're up 1-4 or 2-4, I guess. Sorry.
So at the 4th spot in the first round, went quarterback as well. So here we are again. Um, I'm going to go back to the running back position again, and I'm going to make a little reach here. And, you know, ranking wise, it's kind of mixed in there, but the guy has proven he can put up the numbers when he gets the touches. I'm going to go down to Chuba Hubbard here with the running back spot.
Yeah,
and hopefully, again, this is pre-draft. We don't know where he'll land, so we don't know what his opportunities will be. But if he gets the right spot, he's definitely got the tools.
Yeah, he's got speed. That is the fact. And then I know he just kind of had a disappointing, 2020, but I think 95% of the nation had a disappointing 2020. So
yeah, exactly.
All right. So I'm at 2.5, and if the draft shook out like this, and I'm sitting here, and there's one quarterback that potentially is given a starter or a very good chance to be a starter this season in the NFL, whether it's Mac Jones, and I don't love Mac Jones as a fantasy asset necessarily, but if you're a starting quarterback and you're talking about a super flex league with 12 teams, that's plenty of value right there. So at 2.5, like I can't pass that up. So I'm going to take Mac Jones off the board as the last of the quarterbacks that I would expect to be starting in the year one.
In most leagues, he's probably not going to last that long, but
I mean, yes and no. It's still goodness. It's still 1, 2, 3. He's the fifth quarterback off the board.
Yeah.
I mean, fifth quarterback even in Superflex. You're talking a rookie draft. Fifth quarterback going off the board. Yeah. If that's the fifth fantasy quarterback you have as a rookie, it's very rare, very, very rare that a rookie class has 5 usable quarterbacks for even one season, let alone the long term, which you'd be looking for in Dynasty. So I'd say one of these 5 is going to slide to somewhere because someone isn't liked by everybody. So I would expect somebody to slide as far as the position goes because every team is going to have different values on different positions because they're trying to bolster different things, and we don't know what those are. So yes and no. I agree with what you said. I also disagree. I also believe that someone's going to slide. It just seems like it has to happen. Yeah. So I'm moving in it. I'm at 2.6 here. I'm taking a pick for 2.6. With Jones going off the board, I don't think there is another quarterback that's necessarily draftable at this point. So I'm going to go away from that position. I think this is going to be, if I'm correct, the first spot where we go same position, 2 picks in a row. Yes, we are. I'm going to go back to another running back here. I am going to go running back. The top rated player left per this app is Carter. I'm going to go Trey Sermon here. I think his mixture of size, his downhill running, and I'm going to go with a little bit of recent track record for the school down south running backs. I think they've slowly started to churn out running backs that are actually having success, especially fantasy success. Obviously, Ezekiel Elliott being J.K. Dobbins coming in this patch. Ezekiel Elliott being the most successful, and J.K. Dobbins having a chance to maybe at some point reach that level. But I think they're starting to put running backs in the league that are NFL style or NFL ready, whatever the case may be. Running backs that are producing fantasy-wise and producing successfully in the NFL. So I like his mixture of size. I like his burst, his explosion, his natural playmaking ability. I like him here. And I think if I'm a team in this mid area, I think it'd be nice to go same position, really build one up. So I'm going to go Trey Sermon.
All right, Dirk, 2.7. You got Pitts in the first.
Yep, Pitts, tight end here. I think you're looking at a couple players here as far as best available, but this is another intriguing receiver to me that you got Pittman coming out last year, and that's St. Brown. I think he's got a lot of potential. Another kind of factory of receivers, so that's who I'm going to go with here at 2.7.
Yeah, and this doesn't have a ton to do with Amon-Ra, but one red flag is just that he's related to Equinemius St. Brown, who he has not been very good in the NFL, even though he was a pretty good prospect coming out. So, but yeah,
So
I like
I'm on
Amon Ra.
Ross Dew.
I like him, so I think it's a good pick, and I think it's the right spot for him too. So, all
I
right,
was listening to his interview a little bit, and he just seems like got a good head on his shoulder, ready to, strong desire to compete and be successful in the NFL. So,
yeah,
of course, they all do, but I just liked how he worded his answers when they were asking him questions. So,
yeah, that's all it takes, That that might sway you to make the pick, and
yep.
sometimes you're gonna be right, sometimes you're gonna be wrong. So. I'm here at what is this 2-8. It's tough. I'm actually not a very big Kadarius Toney fan, and yet he's kind of the highest ranked receiver left, and seemingly by a little ways. I guess I'm gonna take a shot and hope that Michael Carter becomes a usable running back, maybe a la James White, just a third down specialist catching the ball, which in a PPR can be pretty valuable. It's probably not a super high ceiling pick, but maybe it's a fairly safe floor pick. So I'll take the running back Michael Carter out of North Carolina. So and maybe not be super excited about it, but.
Well, I mean, you don't have to be super excited about it, but you get a running back. Running backs,
a usable piece.
Yes. Running backs to me are kind of currency in this league.
Yeah.
If it's a guy somebody covets, even if you don't end up liking him, you may be able to turn it into something. So, I think getting running backs is going to be kind of crucial at this level. I'm taking a pick here. This team went quarterback, and we're going towards the back end, which to me says I probably want to go running back here. If I'm a team that's picking at the 9th spot, I feel like I would be going running back here. I don't necessarily like the prospects of the running backs I'm looking at as far as more immediate value, so I'm going to go away from that position. You just mentioned Toney. I just took a quarterback. What would be awesome is if I took a quarterback that ended up with this receiver and I got the stack here. I don't know if that'll happen, but we'll see. But I'm gonna say I got Trey Lance. I'm gonna take a receiver here to match my quarterback for this team. So I'm gonna take Toney here at receiver as well.
All right, so Toney comes off at 2.9 and back to Dirk at 2.10.
Well, this guy took a receiver with his first pick. And, I've heard a lot of good things that this guy could be a sneaky wide receiver pick late. So hopefully this guy is a little thin at receiver and is trying to thicken up his depth at receiver. But I'm going De'Ami Brown here.
De'Ami Brown. Okay. I'm just glad you didn't say the name I was about to pick. So
you're welcome.
De'Ami Brown, also out of North Carolina, speedster. I actually missed this guy in the last. I probably would have taken him my last pick. I didn't think he was still on the board, and yeah, he is. His ADP is a little bit lower. Elijah Moore out of Ole Miss. He's a slot receiver type, but I think he's probably. I might have him in my top 6 or 7 receivers. So, and he's coming off here at 6th, 8th, 10th. So, I think it's a nice little value actually at 211. I kind of don't think he'll last that long.
I was actually surprised when I looked at his ADP. I was surprised it was as low as it was.
He had some insane production.
Yes. I think it's somewhat warranted. Not based off of his production, but I think it's somewhat warranted just based off of the product around him at times. It sometimes players kind of take a knock when the things around them affected them more than their ability, because when he had a good quarterback throwing to him, he really produced. And that's the NFL. If you don't have a good quarterback, it's going to be a struggle. So I like that pick. He was somebody I was keeping an eye on. I'm going to stay receiver for this team, the 12th team here. I got Bateman in the first round. Coming back, I'm going to take who I think is probably the fastest receiver in this draft. I don't remember if he was timed as the fastest, but to me, he's the fastest receiver in this draft. I'm going to take Eskridge out of, is he Western Michigan. Western Michigan. Dwayne Eskridge out of Western Michigan. 5'9", 190, so he's a little undersized. He's another guy we just talked about. There's not a ton of separation as far as size goes in this draft, but he's a smaller receiver. He's a burner, and if you get him in space and then get him on a straight line, I don't think you're catching him. I think he's the fastest game playing receiver in this draft. And if I'm taking Bateman in the first round, I'm going to stack it, which is 3 straight stacks for as far as position goes for this draft. 3 straight teams that went receiver, and then I'm going receiver as well, and I'm going to take Eskridge.
Yeah, I think it's kind of indicative of the depth of the receiver position in this draft.
I feel like that's how it's going to go. There's going to be a ton of receivers that start coming off the board quickly.
Yeah.
Because that's where everybody's money is as far as this draft is going into it. When you talk to the experts, that's where the money is as far as the huge talent pool. So.
All right, so we move on to the 3rd round, and now picks might get a little bit more out of left field. I think this is kind of when people will take a chance on a guy that they know something about, and we'll see what you got, Dirk.
Yeah. Here's where the draft gets even more interesting. And
with each pick, it gets more interesting, it seems, Dirk.
It does. So if you're looking tight end premium here, you got a couple options here. It gets kind of thin after the top 3, but I'm going to go in the 3rd round, take a chance on Brevin Jordan out of Miami. Again, and mediocre pro day. Had some good things, had some bad things, but he's mid 4.6 40 as a tight end with that size. Could have a breakout season, but again, it's a tight end spot. Probably waiting a couple of years to see what he can really do.
Yeah, and that's kind of my reasoning for probably avoiding tight ends for the most part is just, am I going to really be willing to sit this guy on my bench for a year or two to wait for value? I think for me, that's probably where I'm going to stick with running backs and receivers for the most part. Maybe some quarterbacks if they're in.
It's kind of one of those things too. If you need a tight end, if you're tight end thin, you might have to take one a little early before someone else does. So if you're well off at tight end, I don't think you need to reach there. But if that's a spot you're a little thin, I think you get a good one there in the 3rd round.
Yeah. All right, 3-2. Justin Fields, Terrace Marshall, and I'm going to go ahead and hit the running back spot now. I'm going to go with Kylan Hill out of Mississippi State, I believe. Mississippi State.
Yep.
He's the running back with a little bit of size, 5'11", 210. So he's built a little bit thicker. He's not just a scat back kind of guy. So I think he's got some potential to get a heavy amount of carries if he can find the right situation or just the opportunity, I guess. So I'll take my shot with Kylan Hill and hope for that opportunity.
All right, well, here this team at 3's got a running back, got a receiver already in this rookie draft. I think this is a good spot for them to go to the quarterback position. They're probably a team that can take a player that's at a position they don't necessarily need. I think he's actually got a little bit higher ADP than I would think, but I think a little bit of a dark horse as far as what his career could lead to and his ability, depending on the situation he's in, to play sooner rather than later. I like Kyle Trask here, the quarterback out of Florida. I'm going to take Kyle Trask for this team. That puts them with a running back, a receiver, and now a quarterback. And I think a quarterback that's been a winner when he's gotten the chance. He's literally been a quarterback that's had the odds stacked against him every level he's ever played at. And it's going to be the exact same way going to the NFL. But that offense doesn't have as many superior weapons and isn't the offense it is if he's not a capable quarterback, and he's a guy that's going to get drafted later in the draft for sure. But the situation he gets into could lead to him paying big dividends down the road, and possibly if he gets on the field in the near future, having a chance to be at least a capable fantasy starter. So I'm going to go Kyle Trask with this team to give him a quarterback to go with Najee Harris and Rondale Moore.
Yeah, and anytime a quarterback gets on the field, his value is going to shoot up in a super flex league. So whether he performs or not, if he's got that opportunity, it's definitely worth a shot. All right, Dirk, you are up. Zach Wilson, Chuba Hubbard, and who?
So we're gonna look at wide receiver here again. We were kind of talking about size this year. Here's another bigger receiver at 6'3", 215. He sat out this last year, but out of Wake Forest. Sage Surratt, he's had 1,000 yards the year before. Who knows what he could have put up this year, but the knock on him kind of his speed. He's got to get a little bit faster, but great physical receiver, a lot of size to him. Can get open and make some plays with that size. So.
All right. So I'm up at 3-5. Travis Etienne, Mac Jones. I've got my eye on a couple players, one running back, one receiver. I think I'm going to go, and especially this is if you know your draft mates, who you're drafting against, I'm going to take a dude that probably won't be there in the near future. I'm going to go with Nico Collins out of Michigan just to make sure that Andre doesn't
Nico!
And this guy, when I watched what I watched of him, every play was a big play. He was a downfield threat at all times.
I'll tell you what, I'm picking next, so I'm going to speak a little bit on. Nico can do it all. When Michigan looked so bad when he wasn't playing for them. I'm an offense that was supposed to be really good when he wasn't on the field. Man, they looked bad. Tariq Black was another one when he left for Texas that we looked really bad when he wasn't in our offense when we thought we were going to be good. But Nico can do it all. He didn't run as fast as people wanted him to, but he never relied on his speed. He's got great size.
Yeah,
he can do it all. So I love Nico Collins, and you're right. If we were in my draft, we would be in a fight right now. Period. A fight.
Got to know who you're drafting against, you know.
So Nico Collins goes there. I'm taking the pick here at 3-6. This team's got two running backs. With two running backs already in the fold for them, I would be going, if I'm this team, again, right in the middle, I'd be going to whatever I needed the most. I'm not looking tight ends here. I'll tell you right now, I have some tight ends on my radar, but I'm not taking a single tight end outside of the name Kyle Pitts outside of the fourth round of a rookie draft this year. None of them are good enough for fantasy purposes to be on your radar outside of the fourth round. And that might be late fourth round. So I'm not going tight end. I think I'm going to take this team. There was a thought to go back to quarterback here. And there are some intriguing names here. But there's one name, if I'm a team later in this round, I'd be really upset about going off the board here. It's a receiver. It's another smaller receiver, Tutu Atwell. Tutu Atwell is who I'm going to go here. I think he's another receiver that's got incredible ability. He's going to be a slot kind of guy, but he's a game changer. He's a guy that can take it to the house. So even if he's a guy you only play on a bye week or in a last moment situation where you have to play him, at least you know you have that one catch across the middle where he takes it to the house for 75 plus yards and he's worth it. So I'm going to take Tutu Atwell potentially as a player you may not use right away, but if you get a chance to and he's able to use those abilities in the offense, I love his ability. I look at him and I think that's a guy that you should be on your radar. So I'm going to go, I've gone two running backs for this team. I'm going to go receiver here with Tutu Atwell.
All right. We got pick 3-7 on the board. Kyle Pitts, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Dirk will choose.
So I think this team's got to look, probably at the running back position. You can never have enough depth at running back. So guy coming out of the Pac-12, Put up good numbers as a freshman, and then in 6 games last year, over 900 yards. Again, and that's only 6 games, and he had 7 touchdowns, and that's the running back Jamar Jefferson
Yeah, I
out
know
of Oregon State.
our coworker would be excited about that. Go Beavs, right?
They will.
All right. So I'm gonna hear it 1A talk about Jamar Chase, Michael Carter. Uh, Probably at this point, I would be willing to take a chance on a quarterback that I don't know if or I should say, he's probably not going to be a starter right away or anything like that. He may not be in that situation, but I kind of almost look at him a little bit like a Jalen Hurts type, maybe even a Dak Prescott type, where something happens in front of them, or an injury, whatever the case is, and they get a chance. I think Kellen Mond has some athleticism. He has a decent size, 6'3", 217 out of Texas A&M. I'll take a shot on him, and I think he can, if he gets that chance, his value would increase dramatically, and so I'll take that chance here if I'm picking at the 3-8.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I like that pick. He's gotten better every single year. Well, I'm at a spot here where I'm looking at value. I'm looking at players for this team at 3-9. Already taken a quarterback, took a receiver. Fantasy-wise, I'm not extremely excited about the running backs that are available in the near term. I think any one of these guys left, to me, is going to be somebody you're looking for down the line. And you have that luxury as you get later into this. These teams are the better teams in your league. But you're still not to the very end where this is necessarily a team that has the luxury of taking that guy that isn't usable for a while. But there isn't really, outside of the wide receiver position, that guy. There's not that guy that just stands out as you're guaranteed he's going to be usable right away. I'm actually going to go back to quarterback for this team. I think this is the first team that's going to have taken 2 quarterbacks. So it's kind of a RG3 Kirk Cousins situation in Washington. I'm going to go back to quarterback here, and I'm going to go to Ian Book. I like his size. He didn't always have the production that people expected. Don't know exactly what that was for that team, but I like his size. I think he's got enough arm talent that if he's smart enough in the NFL, he can be successful. I don't necessarily know that he's going to be the guy that gets to start this year, but I think if you got Trey Lance and you want to bolster a position and maybe give yourself a chance for that guy later in your draft, you took a chance on that becomes a starter, and now you have other pieces. Whether you use them or turn them into other picks or turn them into other players that you need on a team that could be on the cusp of winning your league, I like the going to a second quarterback here. So I took a chance here in the 3rd round, and this is a rookie draft to me. In the 3rd and 4th round, you are taking a lot of chances, but there's not really a bunch of risks. So I think this is kind of to mitigate your Trey Lance risk if he doesn't pan out. So I went quarterback again. 2 quarterbacks for the ninth team in this draft. Ian Book.
Right. Pick 10, Dirk.
Yeah. Probably gun receiver. Probably got to look at another position here. Looking at running back, you got the best available ADP wise, ranking wise. So going Ramondre Stevenson out of Oklahoma.
He is a big boy.
Very big boy. He runs straight really fast and really big and wide. Don't get in his way.
Hey, it's football.
If he's a goal line back for a team, I mean, you could do worse at near the end of the 3rd round if you get a guy that could walk into 7 or 8 1-yard touchdown runs in the season. So, all right, 111. Whoa, sorry, wrong button here. Remove that. 111. I actually kind of like this running back, and he's a little bit lower. he at? Hold on. Out of Virginia Tech, Khalil Herbert. And I think he has a little bit of potential to get, maybe he gets a chance somewhere.
Yep.
5'9", 212.
Great pick right there.
Yeah, he, at this spot, if he's still around, it seems hard to think he would be, but his ADP is definitely a little bit lower, so maybe people don't know about him, and we'll give it a shot. And especially if you're looking at these teams at the end of the first, second rounds where all the value is at receivers, so they don't have anything else in the draft, and if you can get a decent shot at a running back, like, take that shot.
Yeah, and then these last three teams picking, the 10, 11, 12 teams all went receiver, which we talked about earlier is probably worth doing. There's a lot of talent at the position. I think at this point, for me, I think I would be another team that would go running back here, similar to the two teams ahead of me. And for me, with the guys that are remaining, I'm going to just straight look ADP, and I'm looking the highest ADP guy here is Jarrett Patterson. And that's really the only difference to me with this group of running backs I'm picking from is I'm looking all ADP. So the guy that's most likely not to get back to me if there's a running back that I want is the guy with the highest ADP. That's Jarrett Patterson right now, and that's who I'm going to take. So again, 3 teams in a row have all used the same strategy here: receiver, running back, and I'm going to do the same for the 12th team in this draft and take Jarrett Patterson.
All right, so that concludes the third round. We had 1 tight end come off the board, 3 quarterbacks, 3 receivers, and 5 running backs. So a little bit heavier receiver in the second round, a little bit heavier running backs in the third round here. So 4-1, Dirk, on the clock.
Yeah, we're going to look here. I know we don't have a running back, but if you're looking at a couple of running backs, can follow the ADP. I'm going to try to sneak a running back pick here later, but we're going to go with Kylan Wallace, the highest ranked receiver here left. Kind of wind down our rookie receivers for this team.
He's an explosive guy out of Oklahoma State. He was a pretty good deep threat as well. So.
Yep, 4.48. That can come down a little bit. So, not your bigger receiver as far as height wise, but made some big plays at Oklahoma State, definitely. Yeah. So, being on the West Coast, he was on TV quite a bit. So.
All right. At 4-2, fairly balanced already. Right now I have Justin Fields, Terrace Marshall, Kylan Hill. But I'm just looking for, in the 4th round, I'm just looking for whatever I feel is the most valuable player or the most likely to have any value, because there's going to be a lot of swings and misses at this point in the draft in the 4th round. I think, or you can take a shot on a guy that, maybe nobody knows about. There's one quarterback option I would consider. There's probably about 3 receivers. So if there's 3 receivers, maybe there's a chance that, hey, we made it through the draft and one of those guys was still around. I could scoop him up on waivers if I really wanted to. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go to another quarterback, and I already picked up Justin Fields, but never have too many quarterbacks in a super flex, so I will take Davis Mills out of Stanford. And from what they talk about is, or at least his head coach, if he had played another half a season or another season, he would have been up there in that first quarterback tier. So I'll have to trust Stanford's coach on that, and we'll give him a shot.
Yeah, if I'm any team in this 4th round that's behind you right now, it's a Nico Collins situation right now, because Davis Mills was my next quarterback on the board for any team that needed a quarterback. Perfect example, if I'm the team that took Kyle Trask and I really like Davis Mills, thinking I was going to get him right here too and have both of them, I'm extremely upset because Davis Mills, again, from what I've seen how I've seen him throw at the Stanford. Was it their pro day he threw at? I can't remember what it was. I think it was their pro day. But if you watch the kid throw and you look at his size, man, it's a great pick. He really could pay huge dividends if you got him in the 4th round. And especially if you may have been a team that was waiting on him late and didn't take a quarterback to this point.
At the same time, he could be worth nothing.
Exactly. But there's no risk in this fourth round of a rookie draft.
Right.
So, you can take those shots. So I love the shot. I love the shot. For myself, I'm at a spot here where, to me, I'm going to go ahead and take another receiver. Going back to the talented receiver class, I think we're kind of at a spot where you kind of get some of these receivers that are a little bit bigger, and one of them is the highest rated one here, very closely as far as ADP goes, is Tamarian Terry. For me, in past years, a lot of times I've taken receivers. If there's a tiebreaker, I have 2 receivers I really like that are very similar. I'm taking the bigger one. I'm taking those. There's a higher chance that the guy that's 6'3" and above is going to be a fantasy standout compared to the guy that's 6'3" and below, especially if it's far below. But this is one of the few guys we have in this draft that is 6'4" and bigger. He's a bigger receiver, bigger target radius, and when we just talked about it, you're in the 4th round. I have a receiver already in this draft on this team with Rondale Moore. I'm going to go ahead and take a chance on a bigger receiver in Tamarian Terry, see if I can get some love out of him late in a rookie draft. So,
all right. Dirk up at 4-4.
With this pick in the 4th round, we're not going to let this year's James Robinson slip. So we're going to look down here to the Raging Cajun Elijah Mitchell.
He was on my list.
Big, powerful back. 5'11", right around 220. In 2019, had 1,100 plus yards, 16 touchdowns. So a little bit shortened season last year, but they like to run the ball there. He's proved he can do it. And we don't want to miss out on James Robinson, right?
Yeah,
that's the main thing here in the 4th round.
If he's this year's James Robinson, I think I'd be willing to draft him a little bit earlier in the 4th, but hey.
Nope, you can wait till the 4th.
All right. He was on my list. He was the one running back that I was still kind of considering scooping up, but obviously you got him. So here we are at 4-5. Got ETN, I got Mac Jones, I got Nico Collins. I'm gonna go ahead and go with another receiver. Hopefully one out of the 2 hit. I've got the big guy in Nico, and maybe at this spot, I can there's one more big guy on the board, but I don't know if he's got tools, I guess. I just don't know how hard he works with them. Or I can go with the smaller guy who's kind of been rising up out of Clemson, one of Trevor Lawrence's favorite targets, Amari Rodgers. So I'll go ahead and I'll scoop up Amari Rodgers here. And I believe
that's who my 4-7 was going to be. I debated there with Mitchell, but yeah, I think he's a steal that late. He's great talent, great speed, proved he can play at the top level. So yeah, that's a great pick that late in the 4th.
And he's been playing with a pro quarterback for the last 4 years already.
Yep.
So yeah,
and proven he can handle it.
Yep. And
77 catches this previous year.
There's nothing wrong with getting that in the 4th round. And for team coming in at the 6th pick in this round with 2 running backs and a receiver, I'm looking to switch that up and take a chance. I'm gonna shoot my shot here at a quarterback for this team. The quarterback I'm gonna go with, slightly down the list a little bit here. My pick was Sam Ehlinger out of Texas. I think this is a guy. Texas didn't live up to expectations, so a lot of people look at him as that same situation. I don't agree. I think he's got the physical tools to be a kid in the NFL that can be a successful player. And I've said it a couple times already, but every pick in this round is kind of a very low risk, high reward if they pay off. So this team doesn't have a quarterback yet. I'm taking my shot with Sam Ehlinger because I like his size and I like what he's put on tape to this point in his college career.
Yeah, that guy, he competes. That's for sure. He'll run through anybody. So, all right, Dirk 4-7. Since it can't be Amari Rogers, you got to find somebody else.
Yeah, Rogers was my pick there. So being here in Arizona, we're gonna give some love. Follow the Brandon Ayuk train and go with Frank Darby out of ASU. 6'1", 200. Showed a lot of, being the number one receiver last year. Battled through some injuries, but can really make some big plays. I enjoyed watching him play, so we'll see if he can pan out in the NFL.
All right. Forks up. So 4-8. I've got 2 receivers left that I am looking at, and so I'm going to go ahead and I'll take Seth Williams out of Auburn, and he's the big guy that he's got some tools. So late in the 4th round, we'll give it a shot and see if he can put some work ethic to make it. So.
All right. So Seth Williams off the board at 4-9. And we're in the 4th round. This was about the range that I said I would go to a tight end if I was going to go to a tight end. The top ranked one left on the board with an ADP in a whole nother world from any other tight end left is Freiermuth. I hope I said his name right. I believe I got that correct. Pat Freiermuth. I'm going to take him here. That gives me 2 quarterbacks, a wide receiver and a tight end. And to me, it gives me, fantasy-wise, at least up front, to me, it gives me the second best chance at the tight end position to have somebody who produces right away. I'll say that with a disclaimer. I took 2 tight ends in our rookie draft last year late, in Troutman and Ozzie, and neither one of them were worth using at any point. They were both on my taxi squad all season. So
Troutman might have a chance this year. So
yeah, that's kind of what this pick would be. You're taking him with the hope that you can sit him on your taxi squad if your league offers that, and if they don't, you can keep him on your roster long enough to use him when he gets a chance. But this is not a pick that I think is going to be something you're excited about going into this coming season. But he is, to me, the next best tight end behind Kyle Pitts. You did pick Jordan earlier, who I think is a third round pick isn't a huge difference. It's still kind of low risk, higher reward if he pays off. But I give them kind of 2A, 2B to Kyle Pitts.
He's probably the best player left available by far, I would think, in terms of NFL player. Just in terms of fantasy, how much will they do? Kind of like you said it. So, all right, Dirk, 4-10, your final pick.
Well, at this point, you're just shooting for flyers. With this team, we probably got to look into a quarterback. Looking at the best couple available. We'll go with the 6'5" slinger from out Arkansas, Felipe Franks.
I believe he used to be at Florida, right?
Florida, correct. Yeah.
Old Felipe.
Till Kyle Trask
took his job.
No, I don't know if Trask took over.
I believe the year Felipe went down, Felipe got hurt, and then it wasn't Trask that took over. Trask ended up taking over after the other quarterback got hurt.
Yeah.
And I'm drawing a blank on who that was, but Trask wasn't who took his job, but he did suffer a fairly significant injury that ended his career at Florida.
All right. And well, there's one quarterback that's still on here that I could take a shot on at 4-11 here. And there's one receiver that I almost kind of don't want to pick just to not put his name out there. So tough decision here. If I'm this team though at 111 or at 411, since I have Devontae Smith, I have Elijah Moore. I think I would go quarterback though, and I'm gonna take Jamie Newman out of Georgia, and big prototypical kind of quarterback, 6'4", 230. So probably pocket passer type, but any quarterback that gets a shot, if he gets that chance to start, his value is going to be there. So I'll go there with the next to final pick in the 4th round. So
Mr. Irrelevant, make it good.
Well, my Mr. Irrelevant. So if I was truly picking here at number 12, and I say this with all seriousness, I'll be watching the 7th round of this year's draft a lot more closely than I have in past drafts. And both of you actually are probably more invested in this pick than I was. I didn't know this player as well as y'all did. But I'm really holding my cards, and I'm really keeping my fingers crossed, whatever it is that you go with. I've been reading a few different draft reports on Preston Guerra out of CSU
okay.
Pueblo. Shout out to our Cactus Cobras here on the show. I will be watching very intently in the 7th round after reading some of his profiles. He strikes me as a player, fantasy-wise, may never actually reach that level, but I watch him block people, and he reminds me of a New Orleans Saints tight end. Just a mauler, does not quit on any play, just rams people into the ground, drives through people. And if you know the kid's smarts, which I know both of you do, I'll let you talk a little bit more about him. This is kind of a shameless plug for me on our show, but it's not shameless to me because this is a kid that comes from where we're from. So this is my final pick, and I'm going to end it on a bang with him because I believe this kid should be picked in this draft. When I watch his tape, I think he could go in the 7th round, and I think if he doesn't, he's still going to end up on the squad and have a chance. Fantasy-wise, we'll see. But I think his smarts, his intelligence, his leadership ability, the way he plays the game, the way he goes about things in his life, I would love to see this kid get picked in the 7th round and go onto a squad. As I said before, he just reminds me of a New Orleans Saints that, a la Taysom Hill, that comes out of nowhere and just can do everything, and all of a sudden he's on the scene. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I hate the fact that I can't actually put it on the board because he's not in sleeper system. But I love the idea, and as he used to be a Cactus Cobra where me and Dirk both teach at, and Andre also coaches at, and he was actually our high school quarterback for a few years, and just that kid is one of the hardest working kids, greatest kids I've ever coached, and so I would not bet against that kid with the kind of work ethic that he has and how smart he was. And yes, he is a mauler. I mean, he's a strong kid. So I love it. That's a great pick.
And to go with the work ethic, just the leadership attributes that he had.
Yeah, you're 100%
He would
right.
walk into the room, and if someone was screwing around, they weren't screwing around anymore. He just had that about him.
Yeah.
Great competitor, loves to compete, but his work ethic, his leadership, great kid. That'd be great to see on draft day on Saturday, late round.
Well, you asked me. You told me to go out with a bang. I went out with a banger there. Hey, we will be watching. We will be watching for you. I can remember one of my first. We'll end on this story. We'll end on this story for this draft. Our Mr. Irrelevant, so to speak, Preston Guerra, CSU Pueblo, Cactus Cobras, was our final pick in this fantasy mock draft 1.0 for the Crowley Cast. I remember my first year. It was my first or second year coaching. I remember this kid was thinking about coming out to play basketball for us, and one of the most giddy I've ever seen Coach Walker, Hotshot Walker over here, about a kid that may come out that wasn't really a basketball player just because he was such a leader. And I don't think there's a team at any level of any sport that can use any kid like that. If you have a kid that's that kind of leader that will step into your program, do what's asked of you, preach the things you preach, and also has the ability to find a niche on a team and do something special for that team, this is the kind of kid you're talking about from everything I've heard of anybody around him. That's why I picked him last. as Mr. Relevant in our fantasy draft, because I will be rooting for you I will be rooting for you on that last day of the draft. I hope we see your name come up, because if we do, we are going to reach out. We are going to get you interviewed, because we will be as happy as anybody on the planet other than your parents. And don't forget to check out our podcast, check out our streams, check us out on our socials, and come back to the YouTube channel. This has been Dynasty Rookie Mock Draft 1.0. Until next time.